2, 1. Okay, we're pretty much live now. First, I want to say how absolutely unbelievably excited I am to have Original Predators, Marcus and Sean, also with me, the head of Master Blasters, Kevin Donaldson, fantastic, representing the East Coast, and on the West Side, OG IronMen royalty, Dirk Gadberry.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you for being here. Thank you very, very much. I know that people are going to go absolutely crazy for this one. This is going to be a Woodsball centric conversation and stories that I can't even imagine. So without further ado, Marcus, take it away.
All right. Okay. Well, obviously, it's nice to see you guys again after all those years. Like, obviously, we keep in contact via Facebook or Messenger, but now with the advent of technology, we can actually see each other again. And you know what I mean? All we've basically done, guys, is we've got a little bit older. We put a little bit more weight and a bit grayer, but we're all the same people. And it's just lovely to see you again. You know what I mean?
Guys, we've been doing this a long time. We know each other a long time.
I know, mate. I know. You know what? This is the beauty. This is what I love about paintball, like Woodsball and stuff. It's like years ago, we was fierce competitors, right? And on the field, there was no love lost. But when we finished playing, we was all best of buddies, and we've always had a mutual respect for each other. And that's something I think me personally, when I watch some of the airball stuff, I don't like all this smack talking and all this sort of people think they're a lot
disrespect
to the cameras. You know what I mean? In the woods, it seems like almost like we're a different breed. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
I don't know if it's disrespect or anything. I just think they just don't realise the actual passion and that we put into paintball.
Yeah.
You know, well, I mean, 30 years later, we're still talking about it and playing it at a competitive level. You know, and we're pretty damn good at it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So that's the difference.
I don't think they're disrespectful. You know, that at first I did. You know, because I've been around. You know, you guys kind of disappeared for a while. I've kind of never really disappeared, so I watched it. I just think they needed to be educated. You know, I mean, when I retired, I followed paintball on the magazines while they existed. Then I watched all the different chat rooms or whatever you want to call them, the PB Nations and and Robo. I was reading Robo's stuff, and it bothered me that everything we did disappeared.
Yeah.
You know, you would think paintball, if you didn't know any better, and that's what upset me. If you didn't know any better, you'd think paintball started in 2002.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Everything we did was non-existent. You know, they would, the arguments on Facebook or on social media about, if Dynasty played the original IronMen, who would win? Oh, Dynasty kicked their ass, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? The classic format has shown them that that's obviously not true. You know, if nothing came out of the classic format, that bullshit about old school Woodsballers versus new school airballers, all those myths have been, debunked.
Put to bed.
Yeah. They're playing one classic event this year. There's a reason.
Yeah. When they come, they quit because they played a bunch of 60-year-old guys. There's definitely a reason.
But you turned around and said, this is the beauty with Woodsball. For me, what we need to do, and I'm really, really passionate about this, in whatever sport, and I've said this before, if you take, say, motor racing that you guys do in the States a lot more than we do in the UK. Motor racing, right, it's all about driving a car. But there's lots and lots of different categories of it. It's like ballroom dancing. It's like dancing, right? You dance to jazz, you dance to Latin, you dance to this. There's all different categories in it, right? And everything is all the same, but it's done in a different way. Why can't we want to play Woodsball? We want to play in the woods. Why can't we have a divide between airball, concept fields or these sort of like hybrid tournaments and Woodsball, right? You do it your way, which is good enough for me. I agree that if you want to play airball and shoot with 10.5 ramping guns, or go and play on really small fields, right, where you can shoot each other on the breakout, if that's what you want to do, go and do it. But if I want to play in the woods with bigger fields, longer game times, and play on using the trees and the natural surrounds of the field, then let us do that. What do you guys think?
Absolutely.
Well,
I agree with that 100%.
Look, I'm putting on a Woodsball World Cup. I'm putting on a Woodsball only tournament here in the States. Yeah. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, you know where I stand on that subject.
Yeah.
Well,
you know,
Kevin stepped up and he's doing the first official one. But you know, I mean, I think what we got to do is what's most important is that we hold true to our values, and we don't really give a shit about, okay, there's only 15 teams or there's only 20 teams. We don't bow down to the quantity of teams. We basically have events that are quality events because we know what quality events are. We were there when it happened. So that's what matters. The fields matter. The time length matters. The format matters. That's what matters, not what the industry comes in and tells us what matters.
Yeah. Do you know what? Right. I would not be prepared to bring the UK Predators over to play in America. I've been asked by lots of different tournament organisers to bring the Predators over and play in some of these hybrid tournaments. And every time I've turned around and said, no disrespect, but not for me, thank you. I'm prepared to bring my team over all the way from England again to play in the Woodsball World Cup for one reason, because I'm playing Woodsball.
Yep.
And that's the only reason I'm doing it. And also to play against my other team players I played against years ago.
Yeah, I agree.
Unfortunately, there's not as many people out there as you would think that are willing to make that transition. You know, people are still more interested in winning, maintaining whatever status their team name has. You know, that they're not going to come out and play something that they're not familiar with. That's just the way it is. But I agree with you, Dirk. If I'd be more than happy to run a 12 or 15 team event, no problem. If that's what you guys want, you know. Yeah, but you can't go out there and fail. You know, this stuff costs money.
No, we can't go out and fail, and we got to do what it is that we want to do. I mean, I supported Tom in the ICPL, and we went out in the first event, and it focused primarily on woods. With two, they threw in 2 hyperball games, and that was okay. You know, I would rather not, but they did in the prelims. And then going into the first Florida tournament, we were thinking basically it was going to be the same format. And then they, throw a curveball on us, and here we are on a hybrid field. Play 2 times in the woods, and the frustration set in. I felt like I was baited, and so. Hopefully,
well, you got to remember when the first ICPL was Chicago, and that was Rennick. I mean, if you were going to add another face to this picture, Rennick would be it. Yeah, Rennick's all about going straight to the woods too. I mean, we're rebels.
Rennick. I could reach out to Rennick.
We don't.
Rennick is another guy that with us.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. We just we just got to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing forward, and we got to understand that there's other formats, and don't do the same that these other people do, and talk down and call different formats weak, because none of them are weak. They're just a different style of play. And if they want to do it, they want to do it, and we support what we want to do. I mean, when I came back, that's what I said I was going to do. I wanted to get off the couch, get some exercise here 3 years ago, but I wanted to play what it is I want to play. And that's all there is to it. I've lived it. I've done it. I'm not going to go out and do what everybody else, what the majority or the industry or what anybody else believes I should be doing. I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it. I don't care if there's 5 teams playing versus 50 teams. It makes no difference to me whatsoever.
What do you think, Sean?
So I think we'll get there. It's just going to, the good thing about these. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I think personally, it will grow. It's a new thing again. Even though we've been around for years, it's going to be a new thing again. I mean, you've been pushing the classic format for the last 2 or 3 years, Mute, and you know yourself, it's only started getting bigger and bigger every time we've mentioned it. I mean, now when we first started talking about it, there was nothing, but now, I mean, with Nicky T and all that, they all started putting stuff on for classic. So it's only going to start getting bigger. You know, once these new boys realise that, you know, playing 40 seconds in a game of the CPP or the NXL, you know, and they can play 8 minutes in a Woodsball game, that they will come round eventually. You know, you get your money's worth in Woodsball. You know,
Oh, absolutely.
We were talking about the superstars and all that. That's all the young kids today are you know, they want you to look at them as if they're a superstar. You know, I mean, you know yourself in our team, we look at our boys and they're all talking. You think, hang on a minute, boys, you ain't done nothing yet. You know, you know, you might be superstars in your own right, but you know, we are legends because we've been out there and we've done it. You know, and that's the difference.
For decades.
But that's the difference. That's the difference. You know what? Yeah. Every one of us here, every one of us sitting here has nothing to prove.
Yeah.
You know, these kids are like we were. Well, remember what we were like when we were 24 or 20. Well, I can't because I first started paintball at 25, you know, and that was a year and a half after it started. So, but, you know, we all started with, you know, trying to be the top of the game. I don't think any of us here wanted mediocrity. No. You know, but all of us here have achieved that multiple times years ago. So we have a totally different philosophy than we had when the Preds first came together, or the Blasters first went to a national, or the IronMen first decided to leave Northern California. You know, I mean, these kids go where the media tells them they need to be. Kind of like the regular news on television. You know, if the media put a little bit more attention on what we're doing, these kids would try to chase the spotlight in our format.
Yeah, but do you know what I think is going wrong at the moment? Right. When we can all remember the early days of airball, right? First of all, in England, they had what they used to call I can't remember what it was called now. You had hyperball, and then there was one before that. It come to me in a minute, right? Well, they had hyperball, and then it went airball, right? And the fields were really big. Yeah, the fields were really, really big, right? And what happened? The more people that started playing, the more the event organisers started getting greedy, and they thought, okay, we can't cram enough people in. So what we do now, we'll start making the field smaller, and we'll start reducing the game times. So it now becomes like a Chinese takeaway. One team in, one team out. As much money as possible, right? And then what they've done, now they're trying now to use exactly the same format in the classic format, where they've got loads and loads of teams, right? They've made the game times 10 minutes long, which I think is absolutely ridiculous at 10 men, right? And they're making the fields smaller and smaller and smaller. So all they're basically doing, you've got speedball in the woods. All you're doing, you're replacing inflatable barricades with trees and man-made barricades. Right? And that's what's happening now. This is why, if you look at something like the ICCL events and the other ones you guys run in the States, right? Me personally, I would rather, I'm quite happy, and you can take this down, listen to this, I'm quite happy to pay more money to have the game times longer and the fields bigger with bigger referees, because I enjoy playing paintball.
And less teams.
And less teams if I have to, And I'm prepared to pay for that. And all my players would be prepared to pay another $50 each or $100, or whatever it costs to have games that rely on skill, not the guns you shoot and the size of the fields. Because at the moment, everything is like a sprint race. When you play airball, right, as soon as the whistle goes, you can be hit. You can be hit from one side of the field to the other. Straight away, you're being hit. A Woodsball field should never be like that.
A proper Woodsball field.
Yeah.
Yep.
right?
Well, you guys would love the ones we're building. My God.
Yeah.
But that's why we're coming.
Yep.
That's why we're coming, Kevin. That's the only reason we're coming.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, we shortened them. You guys, most of you guys have played our fields before. Yeah. It was 30 years ago, but you know, I had to cut them a little bit shorter because you're not running up those friggin' hills at our age. You know,
we forgive you. We forgive you. Yes.
I know. So, you know, I cut them back. Like I moved the flag stations in maybe 20, 30 yards, but you're still going to have, you know, a 200-yard run if one of your guys pulls the flags.
But that's, you know, what it is now, right? This is what a lot of guys don't understand. And I'm going to ask you this question, and you guys ask me, tell me what you think, right? A lot of these games now rely on gun skills and the amount of paint you shoot because the fields are so small, you can't maneuver. So the best way to negate guys a gun skill advantage is to make the fields bigger. So guys have to move. They can't rely just on their guns.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
This is what happens at the moment now. You've got all these guys. What's happening? I've noticed a trend recently with the classic stuff. It's becoming a little bit like a game like the arms race. They're trying to make these mechanical guns shoot quicker and quicker and quicker, right? And these guns are going to start. The guns are going to start stopping positive player game if the fields are small because you can't move. But all the time the fields are big, then you can still move, and it stops this sort of dependence on gun skills and the amount of paint you shoot. If you make the fields bigger, you can move and play paintball.
Well, we believe in that.
They rely on the amount of paint that's in the air. I mean, we know recently, Mute, when we played the last tournament, we played Classic against the Electronic. I mean, when we play Classic, we use this. Yeah,
I saw that.
With the Electronic, it's how many balls you can get in the air, and hopefully one of them balls is going to hit opposing player. Whereas, like when we play, when we shoot, we're aiming our gun. You know, you see that in the paint bill at the end of the day. It was incredible. It was you know. We use this when we play. You know, the boys today.
Well, that's Woodsball. You know, regardless of the size of the field that you're playing on, with Woodsball, that third dimension or fourth dimension or fifth dimension, having a paintball brain, really has to be there. Yeah. You know, I mean, I tell my guys, because I got a lot of airball guys that I converted to Woodsball over the last few years, and all I tell them, in my opinion, I can build an airball team with 15 well-tempered chimpanzees and a truckload of bananas. All right? And they look at me and they say, what do you mean? I say, I'll tell you what I mean. You get the chimpanzee, you have him on the leash, you blow the whistle. Chimpanzee runs to snake one, shoots down the lane, runs down, pushes the buzzer, give him a banana. Do that 5 times to 5 chimpanzees, and you got an X-ball team. Go out, do the same thing every single time. Every single time. Run out, shoot your gun, jump, bump one bunker, shoot your gun, pull down the lane, shoot 2 guys, run down, push the bell, bing, 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 point. How is that? I mean, what kind of intelligence level does that take?
No, you know what?
Well, it is what it is. I mean,
hey, dude, I'm not gonna say anything about their athletic ability. You want to go there? Those guys are athletes, man. Yeah. You know what I mean? Those kids are athletes. Yeah. I'm not playing with those guys. You know, none of us here are playing with those guys. I'm not taking anything away from their skill. I'm not taking anything away from their ability. I'm not taking anything away from their dedication to paintball commitment. What I am saying is it's mindless by comparison. Yeah. And my team, my guys, those X-Ball, let me finish quick. Those X-Ball kids, another example that everybody should listen to. I took a group of Division III X-Ball guys, put them on my blaster team a little over a year ago. And these guys were playing Division III in the NXL, finishing 23rd, 24th. 1 year in the woods with us, they finished 4th at World Cup. So anybody that wants to say that Woodsball does not make you a better X-Ball player, obviously, has no idea what they're talking
Right.
about.
You guys listening?
Right.
to this
Round
out there?
Yeah, absolutely.
What's that,
So,
Brad?
I was just telling the people when they watch this, they need to listen to these words that are happening out there.
you know, if you love that game of X-Ball and you want to be better at X-Ball, all I can tell you is get out and play Woodsball. It will definitely, without a doubt, make you a better X-Ball player.
Do you know another thing I was thinking about as well? Right, a lot of paintball players. Let's turn around and say, I said this the other day, the average paintball player, right, who's over 40 and has come back to playing paintball game, has more of a disposable income now to be able to spend on paintball because his kids are grown up and he can afford to play. So that's where, if paintball needs to grow, everybody keeps on saying that we need to encourage all these new young kids to come in and play. Right, it's the where paintball's going to go to, and we need to have new blood coming in. I agree with that up until a point, but the difference with it is all these young kids, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them can't afford to play as much as what a 40-year-old plus person can. Right, but the drawback is the older guys don't necessarily go to the gym and keep themselves fit. They might be a bit overweight. They might not be as fit. And they can't move around as well as what they did years ago. So the fact that if they want to go and play paintball, they want to go and play paintball and they want to have fun. But more importantly, they want to feel that they have a role that they can achieve and they can actually do something positive. That's why when they go and play in the woods, they all come back and they want to play a game. A lot of these older guys, if they was to go and play airball or hyperball, they get the crap shot out of them. They never come back and play anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys think.
Well, the good thing about what we was talking about last night was with Dirk and that is not only we're playing together on the field, it's when we leave the field, we're in our safe zone, and we all have a laugh and a joke, and that's what makes it as well. It's like a big. I mean, we always say we've got a brotherhood. You know, we all come together and we have a laugh and a joke. That's what makes us turn up every week. You know, it's just with the export and all that. It's just the same old thing all the time. You know, they keep themselves separate.
What do you think, Dirk?
I agree. I think it's easy to do and achievable to do with new players because let's face it, when somebody's never played before and they picture the game of paintball, what is it they picture? You know, I mean, they picture going to a field, you know, renting a gun with their friends and going out in the woods and getting muddy and dirty and shooting people. It's not about going, you know, that their first time playing, it's not going on an airball field shooting 3 cases of paint and coming home with 100 welts. You know what I'm saying? So most people coming into it, that's what they see, you know, that's what they see of the game. And that's what that's what it was originally. That's what it still is seen as a brand new player. And the problem is there's just the industry and the sport just kind of forgot about that group and moved on to this other one because financially it works better for them. You know, I mean, they wanted this thing to be like the NBA where they could put asses in the seats. Let's be honest. The only people that watch paintball are paintball players, man. You don't sell. You know, nobody else is going to go pay to watch paintball unless you're a player, you know, paintball player. So it's a no-brainer. You just got to have it's like Field of Dreams, man. You just got to build it and they'll come because that's what they naturally want to come do to begin with.
Yeah.
My opinion. I mean, that's why I went in '97, you know, when they started going to these airball fields and dominating a hyperball field, it was just like, this is not what I signed up for, you know. This is not what, you know, I get it. I understand it. If that's where it's going, go ahead, have a good time. I have respect for this, you know, for the athleticism and everything else, but it's not my vision of it, you know. I don't enjoy it.
And very few players made the transition, and we lost a lot of the drive, the oomph that was driving all of those teams at that time.
Do you know what? At the end of the day,
it was exhausting.
You know, I think for me, I don't care what format a paintball player plays. In my eyes, a paintball player is my friend, right? And we're all. But what happens with it is, if I want, as I said, I've had this discussion. I've said this before. If I want to go and play airball, I know full well that I have to adapt the skill set I have as a Woodsball player to play airball, right? It's a different game to what I play. And I fully understand that. If I'm going to go and play airball, that's what I have to do. And I have to change the way that I'm going to play for that skill set, right? And that's fine.
Yep.
I understand that. So why is it that everybody wants to stop us from using our skill set and try and change the way we play Woodsball?
Because they can't beat you.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And
only with a stick.
Right, a lot of these guys don't understand, right? Everybody here tonight, our main priority is we are paintball players first, and we love the sport of paintball, and we want to see it grow.
Yeah.
Because we all understand if it doesn't grow, there isn't no paintball.
Right.
And I'm the captain of the UK Predators. Dirk's the captain of the IronMen. Kevy's the captain of the Master Blasters, or you own the teams or whatever. But that's secondary to us promoting the game that we love. Right? And if I have to play a format that I might not be as good at to start off with, right? It's about promoting the game for the general population of paintball to get back into it again. Right? There's been a major resurgence in paintball, and that is because of the classic movement and guys going back into the woods, playing a game because they are now not getting a crap shot out of them by a spotty 16-year-old kid with a machine gun. And you can actually move and play paintball now. Is that correct?
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's why everybody now in America is playing classic paintball.
Well, that's the good thing about Woodsball, Mute. You could be fat, skinny, old, or we can all play.
Oh, yeah.
You know, with the airball and all that, you have to be a certain level, certain fitness. You know, we're trying to grow Woodsball. Anybody can play Woodsball. That's why.
Even the hyperball. You know, even the hyperball. If I looked at it. You know, if we're only doing a couple of games on the hyperball, we can get away with it. But if 50% of the games or better are played on a hybrid field or a hyperball field, I mean, you got to go with a different style of team. You know, so that was a little frustration.
I don't like the fact that you go and if you do play in the woods and you do okay and you hold your own, that you're going to go up against the next ball team in the semis and the finals on a hyperball field.
Yeah, exactly.
At least be an opportunity to go play them in the woods. I'd be happy if we did that.
It's funny because every one of these tournaments, I hear in the background, the chatter of the guys, the X-ball teams, the current pros or, was a pro 5 years ago, let's say, pushing towards, they always want to have the finals and the semifinals in hyperball because it benefits them.
Of course it does.
But as long as I know that ahead of time, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. As long as there's a market out there with a variety of formats that take care of all the different, desires to play. That's what I see. I don't want to downplay what the X-ball guys are doing, and I don't want to. I have respect for them, and I don't want to poo-poo them and say that it's garbage, or the guys that want to play nothing but the ICC. I mean, that's a lot of teams, man. That's what they're pushing for is a lot of teams, quick games, and their argument is that they can't do them all in the woods. Okay, fine, but that needs to be basically a hyperball tournament. It doesn't need to be televised as being a Woodsball tournament. You know, you can't say it's woods when you play 2 games in the woods. You know,
it's very confusing.
They have all the different, all the different categories, and I think we're at the point right now where there's enough old school guys out there that play it that have the desire to play in the woods 100%. That we can push forward. That.
I don't when you go and play at hyperball, right, and you're playing up against exports guys that practice week in, week out, right? They know they've got the money and the resources to practice the lanes, the zones, the moves. You will never, ever, ever beat them. You may be once in a blue moon, but you will never beat them because those moves are instinctive. They don't even have to be thought about, right? When you play in the woods, every time you play in the woods, excuse me, the game changes. It's never the same game twice because you don't move to the same position. You don't get shot from the same position, right? The breakout might be the same, but I can guarantee you, when you play Woodsball, if you was to look at the percentage of the players eliminated, most of the players are all eliminated from slightly different angles and slightly different positions. It's not the same as playing airball where everything is the same, game in, game out, right? So you have
not a cookie cutter game.
Yeah,
yeah.
The thing with it is, excuse me, when you play Woodsball, you have a realistic chance of beating most of us guys here. Right, all of us have to go to work and earn a living first before we play paintball. Agree?
Agree. Yep. Absolutely.
We haven't got the time and the resources to spend all our time just playing paintball. The only realistic chance any team has ever got of actually doing really, really well or beating these pro teams is in the woods. And the woods is the biggest leveler of skill or gun skills there is. That's why a lot of players don't like playing it because they can't be like robotic. They have to play freestyle paintball where you actually adapt. As the game unfolds, you adapt to how the game is played.
Constantly changing. Constantly changing,
yeah. And that's what a lot of these guys are scared of. Right?
Yeah. And the beauty of 10-man is that you got enough players that you can rebound from being down and pull games out. You know?
Sure.
Yeah.
You can you can win a 3-on-7 when you're the 3.
Yes.
If you're smart.
Yeah.
I won a few of those myself.
Yeah, me too. Not in a long time, but I have. I can't run 200 yards, pull a flag, and run back.
That's what the young kids are for.
You know what we've got to do?
When they're all dead, you're screwed.
We've all got to come together and try and put the love back into the Woodsball game, and it's happening. But the thing that's scaring me a bit at the moment, right, is, as I said, you've got a lot of guys now in the industry, and I'm going to be honest with you, we've had to go along with this as well. And I'm not talking as the captain of the Predators. I'm talking as Marcus Davis, the paintball player, right? You've got a lot of guys out there now are trying to make these mechanical guns shoot faster and faster and faster again. So the arms race is starting again in a different way, right? And what we need to do, we need to be careful that we don't lose all these players that are coming back in that we lost before. We don't lose again because the fields get smaller and smaller.
Don't lose them again.
Yeah, the fields get smaller and smaller. The game time gets less and less, and there's more and more paint getting shot. And that's, I'm afraid to say, that's what's starting to happen again now a little bit.
A lot of people are talking to me about that, about the arms race all the time. But how do you solve the problem? How do you limit it? How do you, like a lot of guys are saying, no more force-fed hoppers, agitator loaders only. Is that a good idea? Is that a way to enforce it? We're never going to stop the arms race.
Can I jump in? Can I just jump in for 1 second? Because I have a point of actual reference on this. I will say that, and I'm going to talk to him later this week, Tim Glavin had a VHS tape of him shooting a stock auto mag cycling a stock auto mag, shooting paint around 13 balls a second. Now with the adrenaline, the brand new adrenaline shocker, one of the fastest shooters clocked in at 13 balls a second. We've gone through this whole thing where it's perception of balls per second, but guys, in the 80s it was 13 with an auto mag.
Yep.
And right now it's 13 with the latest, greatest, smoothest everything. I agree. We don't need space guns in there shooting 30,000 balls a second, but there is a point in time where some players shoot faster. But everybody, of course, wants to shoot fast, and that's why these companies are putting things out there, because I can put a rubber band out there and say that it increases your balls per second, and people are going to buy it.
Do you know what?
Well, my opinion.
Sorry. Go on, mate.
My opinion, it's one trigger pull, one ball. I mean, naturally, you're going to get guys that shoot a little bit faster.
Yep.
You know, if you got a fast finger, you got a fast finger. I mean, that's genetics. That's that's not the industry basically pushing something forward that is what I mean. But the ramping thing is ridiculous, because I watched some of the videos over the UK. Some of what the Predators are going up against, and these guys will just, as soon as they ramp it up to 10 balls and they're just flooding a lane, shooting down a lane, it makes it they're looking other ways and doing other things, and the gun's just on autopilot. It's not going to break a ball. It's just going to hold that lane all by itself, and that's what I don't like. I like that it has to be a player pulling the trigger, one ball,
Which is kind of hard. I don't care who you are. If you're not set the fire, and you cannot shoot these guns on the run 13 balls a second. No. You're not going to shoot these guns backing up 13 balls a second. And with some of the trigger pulls on them, how long can you actually maintain 13 balls a second before your fingers are done?
Yeah, right.
So
right.
I'm kind of cool with where it is now, but if it goes to any worse than this, I'll be the first guy on the bandwagon,
Do you know what I think it won't be a bad idea? You guys obviously know Les from Planet Eclipse, right? Very, very, one of my sponsors and very, very good personal friend of mine, right? Been playing for a long, long time like us guys, right? And he suggested a little while ago that I've never, ever, ever liked limited paint for players, right? But what we can't do, there's a lot of guys, okay, let's say, for example, if the guns did get faster and people said, well, okay, we can't use this type of hopper. We've got to use that type of hopper. There's a lot of guys in paintball that earn their living out of selling from Spire and other hopper manufacturers, right? And it's not fair to sort of penalise these guys. But the fairest way, obviously as well, having the paintball fields bigger, so it does this sort of firepower advantage up until a degree. If the fields are bigger, paintball fields should be that big. You can't be hit on the breakout, and you can't shoot from tape to tape. That should be a minimum requirement for any Woodsball field. But you cannot shoot somebody on the breakout. They have to run to the barricade, and you can't shoot from tape to tape. If you can do that, then the field is too small, and the fields need to be made bigger. That needs to be in place. Also, right, if you was to break down the average paint consumption of a paintball player on average across your team, right, on a high paint chucking game, it's probably 4 or 5 pots per player, absolute maximum. It's quite simple.
I got some back guys shooting 10, 12 pots a game.
Exactly. But what I'm saying, the front guys don't.
My front guys don't shoot a hopper.
Right. So what I'm talking about, averaging it out. If this come, then the easiest way is obviously, as much as I don't like it, is to limit paint to a hopper and 5 pots per player. And if players want to give their back players more paint, it means the front players can only carry 2 pots. Each player is only allowed 5 pots and 1 hopper. And that is it. And that is, on all the years I've been playing, very, very rarely do I ever go. I think it's do I ever use or do I ever run out of paint? Occasionally I have done, but very, very rarely. Most games that I play,
Never run out of paint.
Right, I would probably shoot 3, maybe 4 pots of paint maximum on average. So if we did that, every player was limited to 5 pots and a hopper. And if your back players want to shoot more paint, then the front players can only carry 2 pots.
Right.
Yeah, everybody carries on that much paint, and you just hand it off when you get on the field.
Yeah.
Right. Once you get in the start box, you can move it to whoever you want.
Yeah,
and it adds another element. It adds, oh, sorry, Marcus, I didn't mean to, but it adds another element to the game where another level.
That's another tactical disadvantage or advantage.
It's just an idea.
Guys, we used to play early on in the 12-gram days. We used to play limited paint tournaments a lot.
Yes.
That was very common.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So the other issue
we tried that just a few years ago. We tried it here in New York, a limited paint tournament, and it didn't go over very well. Because you wound up with a whole nother. Not that I'm not saying it couldn't work. It just was a whole nother thing to police.
Yep.
Who's hiding paint on the field when they walk the field? Who went out with 2 in their socks? Who went?
I know, but
I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying it's more. It's more.
I have John home.
You know what the thing is though. It's like you're never ever going to stop somebody cheating.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's be honest with you. If 100 paintball players was to play, you'd probably get 2 people that are cheat. Right, and those 2 people that are cheat would probably be in some of the top teams because they feel they're under a lot of pressure to win. The rest of the guys, you got to look at the averages, right? Most people are not going to look. Not my team is right. I would not be prepared to get banned from a tournament if I got caught with an extra pot paint. Right.
But you see what the problem is, Marcus. I have to look at things a lot different because I'm running tournaments as well as running teams. And what happens to everything that we're doing and all the good that we're trying to accomplish, I would have one of these limited paint tournaments and those 2 guys that you're talking about would cheat. The 17 teams would hear about it and my tournament would be shit on all over the country because the judging sucked. Everybody cheated. The only reason the IronMen won is because Sean Wayne hid paint in the bunker. We've all been too long. So when you're running a tournament or you're trying to make something grow, you don't want the bad press. So as a promoter, I wouldn't want anything else that could possibly go wrong and fuck me in the end.
I agree with you, brother. Yeah.
Because how many have you ever gone to an event in your careers, and we've all been to thousands, right? Where the only team that didn't get fucked or cheated was the winner?
I hear you. The winning team never gets fucked over, do they?
The judges were fantastic. The paint shot great. The world was butterflies and unicorns, right? Yeah. Second place to 56th. The judging sucked. The fields were lopsided. The wind was blowing 2 knots too fast out of the east. Shit.
I want to put in one thing as far as the format, as far as if you're talking about rules and format for a classic event. One item that I think that is a contributing factor that may be a negative is the fact of the topic of filming. I mean, I hear that from a shitload of people. The gentleman that was on last night with us, and we did the conversation, the Mau. To me, myself, I could care less. And if they're basically choosing, we're choosing fields because the ability to film them on that field is the reason being. I think that's the problem. That's an issue. The other issue is I'll be honest, I I prefer the guy that walks around with a GoPro or a phone, an Apple phone or whatever it is that he's using, over when they do it professionally any day. I think that Simon does an absolutely great job filming in the wood. Yeah. And you actually get a feel of what's going on the other side of the field, and you don't even have to see what's going on with just the way that he narrates it. And I think it's awesome. And I think that if we're going to do it right, that you can't let that part of it dictate what the fields are going to be in the finals, because that's just not naturally. They're going to go to those open little fields where they can put a camera up and watch everything. And that's just not the game. So
that's on the promoter. You know why? Because when they say you can't film the woods, that's bullshit. If you build your woods fields to be filmable, you can film it.
They
like our field, for example, I can put cameras in the trees. You know, I know where the hot shit's going to happen. You know, I don't need to film the breakout. You know where all the action's going to be on our fields. You know, we know that we build the field specifically as players. So we know how they're going to play. I know where 10 guys are going to break out to. I know where on the field the shit's you know, I know before my judging staff knows before any of you guys show up exactly how to judge the certain areas that we know are going to be hot, because we built them that way.
Right. Yeah. Right.
You know, I know where you guys. You can go next week and walk our fields, Marcus, and you can walk them, Dirk, and you can walk them for the whole week. I still know where you guys are going to be. I know where you're going to be breaking wires. I know where you're going to be pushing your flanks. I know what bunkers you're going to majority of the time get out to on your breakouts. I know where you guys are going to be. So why can't I just set cameras accordingly?
Exactly. So it's just an
paintball field, right? When you walk a paintball field, or I walk a paintball field, what's the first thing you do when you walk it? I think you do, is you say, that's all wasted air over there. That's 60 by 100 over there. Who the fuck's going to be there? Yeah. The only way anybody on my team's going to be there is if they push me back, you know? Yeah. So that's out of the picture. You know, it's out of play.
This is the zone I'm going to flood.
That's right. The only way I'm going to be in that spot is if they're pushing me 9-on-3 and I got to back up to the flag station to defend it. Otherwise, I'm never going to see that friggin' acre.
What do you guys think about?
Yeah, well, that's what I heard. You know, that's what I heard in the past. You know, recently with field selection is because of camera angles and
because it's easier for the promoter and it's easier for the film crew. But if I want to film our Woodsball fields, I'll build them to be filmable. I'll elevate the tree branches 20 feet. You know, I'll take out a lot of the brush. You know, I'll go in with a brush hog and clean it up.
Right.
You know, and the canopy's high in New York. Canopy high. You know how we did the old MPPL fields? They were all, we elevated everything to 30 feet. You know, and cleaned it up. You know, you don't need the brush. You don't need all those bushes to crawl through if you want to film it.
No.
Kev, that's the problem over here. This is what Marcus is on about. I mean, Dirk knows about Mayhem. I mean, how good the fields were when you come over and played.
Oh my God!
Sean, I played that field. I played that field with Bo Peep and the Sheep at least four years in the Masters over there.
Have you been over there recently?
I have not been over there since 1995 or 6.
You try and find me a good tree, good bush.
I loved that place. I loved those that one field they had that was all ferns, like 3 foot high, and I mean, that place was awesome. Awesome.
This was the point about us over here. I mean, this is why we was looking forward to come to your tournament, because one, we played there. 2, I could go to a tree in your site and stay there all day and live. Over here, the trees are not big enough. They're all cut down. All the bushes are cut down. I can't crawl no more unless there's a ditch.
Right.
You know, plus I'm hiding behind pallets, which are boards. They've not even got slots in some of them. You know, so I could live there the whole day. And with an electric gun, see you later. I'm there for 8 minutes. Whatever game time is. That's our problem.
We're fortunate because Jerry still has, 250 acres of land there, and we can build anything we want to build. The trees are just bigger. A lot of the problem with us going in May is that a lot of the brush is not going to be fully grown, It's a little early for us because we're really just going into spring now. So, we used to do the World Cup a couple of weeks later, but I'm hoping a lot of the stuff will grow in. It's going to be open, but we built a lot of bunkers. I mean, and it's all natural. We don't have barrels or buckets or plywood.
Yeah.
Everything is natural from the environment, either stone or tree.
This is what we're talking about, the Woodsball. It should be woods only.
Yeah, that's what it is.
We're behind a bush. No, I was just talking about Mayhem Masters and to Dirk how he thought the Masters was back in the day when it was all woods. Now they've chopped it all down. No disrespect to the Masters because they've done an absolute fantastic job in bringing back paintball to the UK. Without them, we wouldn't have paintballs, for the last couple of 2 or 3 years. But it's not the Woodsball that we know. It's not Mayhem like we used to know.
No.
Mayhem was amazing.
Like we're saying, when we do a breakout, we're getting hit 20, 30 balls with an electric gun before we even get to our barricade because there's no cover, no trees.
Yeah, but this is what's happening. I don't know what you're going up against, Dirk, right? And I don't know if the events that you're playing are bring your own or you have to buy site paint or a certain brand of paint. But the fields, me personally, I think there's a lot of very clever or so they think, they're unscrupulous people putting these events on. They're making the field smaller. They're putting more barricades on, right? And the game times are shorter. So the thing with it is, the only way you can win a game is to suppress the other team with the amount of paint that you shoot, right? So the game times are reduced. The fields are smaller, so you're shooting more and more paint. Does it sound familiar? It's just like like airball. Right, and this is what these guys are doing.
It starts with the quantity. I mean that's what it comes down to. It starts with the quantity of teams, and the quantity of teams dictates the length of the game, because they got to get so many of those teams, through a day or 2-day tournament. So it's the amount of teams versus the time limit versus the size of the field. So all of those dictate it down. So I mean, my argument is well, if you can't have a quality event with larger fields, and longer time limits, you're just going to have to add a day to the tournament. I mean, or whatever it takes. Or these tournaments you have qualifiers. And basically people qualify to play in a 20-man tournament or 20-team tournament or whatever it takes to keep the quality up. The excuse that I got 70 teams, so I have to run. Unfortunately, that's what's happened here in the States. It's gotten real popular, but it's because the number of teams are kind of dictating down the ladder. All of those factors.
The thing is, though, the teams don't realise. The teams don't realise though how much power they have because they are the ones that actually are paying for the event.
They're the customers.
If they turn around and said, you know what, guys, look, we're not happy about this. We want another 2 minutes game duration or 5 minutes on a 10-man. We want the fields bigger. We're all prepared to pay another $25 a player or $50 a player to have some more fields. So it's not you can have a longer game duration, right? If you have extra fields and more marshals, but obviously they have to be paid for. So you can give the players the opportunity to say, look, guys, if you want a 12-minute game or a 15-minute game in the woods or on these events,
we need more ref.
Another 3 fields, more referees, but we need to pay for it. What do you want?
Hey, Marcus, here's a question.
Logistics are hard, man. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard to have, a location now where, back in the day, the fields owners had huge pieces of property. Some of these guys now, the paintball fields are on 60 acres. They're not on 460 acres. I mean,
I'll be back in a second.
That's where you to find a field that could logistically handle all of that and give you 5 fields as a Woodsball field, 5 Woodsball fields is extremely difficult now. That's why you got a paintball field on every corner where I live, because, a guy can have 3 acres and put 3 airball fields on it.
Exactly. Throw up a bunch of ghetto stuff.
Here in New York, you want to buy something like what Jerry has up there? That's a $20 million bill.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, how many fields did they run when they were doing Mayhem?
5, right?
Yeah, at least
5 to 7.
Yeah, at least. And how many teams? I mean, I can't remember the quantity of teams. They were huge tournaments.
They would get 60 teams, 60, 70 teams.
60 teams, yeah. 70. That sounds right.
Yeah, I mean, they would have at their biggest,
Yeah.
And
we have a hard time getting 3 fields.
Yeah, you've got 3. I mean, at Jerry's, I could build probably 10 really big fields.
Yeah.
But then logistically, I can't get air to them. I can't get, you remember how we used to do the World Cup? We had a bus. We used to bus you guys to the fields. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
You remember the old man?
I remember. Oh yeah. Well, it was different. We ran CO2. I had 4 or 5 bottles in my bag. I'd go all day long.
Well, we were running on CO2, so when I ran my tournaments, I had air there for you guys. I bought each one of you 2 bottles, two 50-pound cylinders, and all you had to do was bring a filter, not for Jerry's World Cup, but when I did the ASO Players Cup, I had air there for you. Every staging area, each team got 2 cylinders of CO2 when you brought your own fill station. But, try to do that now with compressed air, man.
Yeah. True. That's definitely an issue.
Yeah, logistics are a nightmare. Look at what we go through at ICC, right? We got to get air, and then we got to hike all the way out to that, to the bounce field. I mean, we tolerate it, but to me, I don't think that's the right way to do anything. There should be air there.
Hey guys, Sean wanted to sound off on here. Maybe Kevin can't even hear Sean, but go ahead, Sean.
Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
No, you carry on. I'm good. I'm listening.
There's a lot involved in running the. I'll tell you right now. If we had, we're 3 teams, and if the 3 of us said this is what we want, and we could all agree at the simplest thing that all 3 of us would attend all 5 events.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we can do exactly what we want to do, and if anybody else wants to jump in, great. But we have to do the same thing we did with the original NPPL. You have to have a base of teams committed to the series to go to every event, regardless of what else is going on in the world. And then we can build from there. That's the right way to do it when you talk about your 12-team thing, because we could get 12 guys here, and all 12 guys will not be able to make all 12 events or all 5 events.
Well, we certainly won't be able to. We could at best we could guarantee 1, maybe 2.
Right, and it would be the same if we decided to do it with Nicky T.
Yeah.
Not Dirk or I could guarantee we could do more than maybe 1 or 2, schedule permitting. Yeah. 1 in the spring, 1 in the fall kind of thing. I could go to Europe. But I couldn't go for your 5 events any more than you could go to my 5 events.
There's no way. No, we could do, theoretically we could do 3 or 4 events a year. 1 event over in Europe, probably, maybe 2.
Yeah.
So,
You never know, though. With a bit of luck, you never know if paintball keeps on growing the way that it is. Obviously, now with the coronavirus, let's hope that doesn't go on for too long and doesn't hurt too many people's pockets. But you never know. It's like back in the heyday, there was obviously a lot more money around in those days, and players seem to be able to travel around a lot more and put a lot more events on. You know what I mean? I'm hoping that now, but as what I was speaking about earlier, that when all us guys were playing years ago, most of us in front, we was all 15, 20 years younger. Most of us now are in our 50s, right? A lot of guys that are starting to come back here to play paintball now, a lot of them are in their 40s, so they should be able to play more. We just need to keep this going, because as I said, I think what I've noticed with some of these hybrid tournaments, I don't know. I think whatever paintball's being played, if it's encouraging more people to play again, I think it's a good thing, right? But I think going forwards, I think that as I keep on saying this, there needs to be a definite separation between the different formats. And I think most of the older guys, the more mature guys that want to play paintball, that still feel they can play paintball, will much prefer to play in the woods. And I think that's what we need to push a little bit more. Don't get me wrong. If the only reason why the UK Predators wouldn't play in a hybrid event is because what a lot of, I don't know if the American guys understand that in the UK and Europe, there's one hyperball field which is a quarter of the size of the one that you guys play on, and the ones you guys play on are smaller than the originals. And there's one man's field, right? So it's a format that the European teams don't ever play. So I'm a realist. I'm a competitor, but I'm also a realist. I understand that there's absolutely no way that I can bring my team over to compete against the American teams at an equal level if I don't play that format. That's why we don't come. Right? The only reason, and if there was more hyperball fields in the UK and there was more man's fields, I think you would probably get, like happened years ago, you'd probably get more European teams be willing to come over. But I can't see it happen. I can't see if it's something that's going to happen soon in Europe and in the UK. But obviously, the difference with it is when you play Woodsball, Woodsball's Woodsball, right? It's worldwide. A tree's a tree, a barricade's a barricade. It's a special skill set, but that skill set is adaptable over a multitude of events and areas. You can go, if you're a Woodsball player, right, or a Woodsball team, you can go to any piece of wood anywhere in the world and play paintball. If you're a good team, you are going to be competitive. Yeah. If you go and play on a hyperball field that you never play on, right, or you go and play on a man's field, you have to practice and play that format or practice on that field to be able to be good at it. So you're always going to be at a disadvantage up until a degree. That's why I think Woodsball is the leveler of paintball skills.
Can't argue with that. That's a fact. But what we got to do is we have to get more people interested in specifically that format. How do we do that? I'm doing it. I'm doing the best I can here because I've got more airball kids coming out when I throw a practice, coming out to play in woods with us now than I've ever seen in the last 13 years. More people coming up to me that play airball and saying, hey, can I come out and run with you guys in the woods? To me, that's the beginning.
Yeah.
That's what we have to do. As captains and as teams, we have to offer opportunity to these guys, to come out and play it with us, and not go out and beat them up and use them as target practice, but actually show them this game. Like, you know what? We're going back to what I remember I had to do in 1984. It's like reliving the beginning of paintball all over again. When people say, what are you doing Sunday? Oh, I'm going to play paintball. And they look at me like, you're what? What are you doing?
Do you know what I think is happening as well?
Come back out there. We got to show them somehow. That's the one thing about the classic format and all the carnival games, hyperball, is that we are really working towards what we want. Because every one of these events that I take a new player to that hasn't played Woodsball comes to one of those events because they know they can play in a hyperball field. They go in the woods, they go home, and I hear so much like, I don't give a shit about airball anymore. I want to play in the woods, but it's not easy to get them there because we were laughed at. Woodsball for years, a lot of you guys were gone for a while, was looked at like newbies only played Woodsball because they considered Woodsball to be scenario ball.
Yeah.
They don't understand that competition Woodsball is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Talk about going out in the woods and going out and finding cards and building bombs and blowing up bridges. We're talking about competition Woodsball. 10 crazy bastards on each side killing each other. It's a difference.
On that note, you guys know Greg Sewers?
Of course.
Guy, absolute stellar dude, man. I mean, I look up to that guy. I got respect 100%. So he comes out and practices with us against Rogue here. I don't know, month and a half, a couple months ago, before we went to Florida, and first time he's ever played 10-man in the woods. And about 3 games into it, me and Dave Weasel Cook are like, "So, you enjoying it? What's going on?" He's playing with Rogue, and he's like, "Holy shit!" I had no idea. No idea. Yeah, he's like, he goes, I can tell you one thing. Me gaining a bunch of ground and running up front every single game, this ain't working.
No,
I go, maybe it's because 2 of those 3 games I shot you. I mean, it was an eye opener for him, an absolute eye opener for him. You know what I'm saying? And that was great. It was awesome to see that kind of response out of a guy that is absolutely one of the best NXL players. He's a killer.
The guy's a freaking killer, Sewers. I mean, in his format.
Yeah, he's an absolute athlete. I mean, he's just in stellar shape. I mean, he's everything. He's a full package when it comes to that format of playing. And for him to come to walk over and just say, dude, this I'm a fish out of water. This I can't believe it. I loved it. And that's happening every single day. Every day, every weekend, every Saturday, Sunday, we get out there and we keep pushing forward, pushing this thing forward. Stories like that happen, and guys that haven't had a clue of what it really is. And we just got to keep doing it, man. We got to keep spreading the love, and we got to have a venue to showcase, the team's abilities. And I think the first tournament to really showcase a lot of that is going to be Kevin's, the World Cup tournament in New York. So hopefully we can get through all this Corona crap and move forward, and that'll event will be a good one, and we'll just keep marching forward. I mean, that's what's got to happen here.
If we can come, Kevin, we will come. Right? The only thing that's going to
I'm hoping so. I built this event for you guys. I say that all the time. Because I just want to see you guys. I want to see all you guys back here.
Mike, the only reason Sean will tell you, when I put the team back together for 3-4 years ago now, I always turn around and said, there's one reason I'm putting this team back together. It's to go to America and play against the Americans and, please God, win a World Cup. That's always been my ambition. It's always been my goal. It's the only thing that still keeps me playing paintball, because I'm a competitor. I need to have a goal to achieve and something to aim for, right? And that's
all in or all out, baby.
No, as I said, that's the thing. It's like these airball players don't realise how fiercely competitive we are. I'm 54. I'm still training now, like I did years ago, to play paintball. Right? A lot of we've been playing this game for 25, 30 years, and we're still here and we're still playing. So we
Can
must
I
be doing
interrupt?
something, right? Yeah,
We are doing something right. And hey, I just want to let you know that a friend of mine is trying to make sure that his setup works for this. I'm going to invite him in. I think he can contribute something to the conversation. Some of you might know him, but I'm just going to bring him in. Okay.
You bringing in Squires? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, Rodney. Yeah, I think Rodney might have a little bit of an idea what's going on. I know you since you're what, Rodney, 15?
Yep. Well, no,
There goes the neighborhood.
I would have been a little bit older. I think we first meet at the Reno event for
That's I think the first time we formally met. I think I might have met you at like Conquest or something before that.
Quite possibly. Yeah, but that was my first
Malibu.
That was my first real run-in with the Blasters.
Yeah, yo, hanging with us. Yeah, it was Reno. Oh, yeah.
Well, Rodney, it's great to have you here. I was just instant messaging you, and we were going to talk about something, but you're more than welcome to stay here, contribute. You know, you didn't know what we were just talking about the Woodsball, because we all have an affinity for a Woodsball field where Marcus basically said this is the parameters. It's a Woodsball field that you can't get shot off on the break, and you can't shoot from tape line sideline to tape line sideline because
Brad.
You can only hear me?
I can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me. Oh, okay. Maybe try logging out and back in. I'll bring you in, and then we can do that. Oh, I'll send you a text message. I'll send you a message. So
that's the way I honor.
Since he can't do that, I'll send him a message. So you guys go ahead and talk amongst yourself.
No, I was going to say with it is like what I'm starting to notice with a lot of these airball players. All these airball players are young kids. They start playing airball and they all have these aspirations of playing for pro teams and being famous. And then reality kicks in. They realise then that they're never, ever going to play at a top level. And what they're doing is very, very, very expensive. It's costing them a lot of money. And the amount of time they're actually playing airball is very, very small in comparison to the amount of money it costs. That's the guys that we need to get to come into the woods. Because if not, you're going to lose them and they're never going to come back to play paintball game. Because one other thing about Woodsball, you get a lot of value for your money. When you look at the amount of time that you actually play paintball at airball, when you're actually firing your gun and playing the game, in comparison to how many dollars it costs you, then when you look at when you play Woodsball, how much time you're actually playing, it's a lot more value for money, and you get a lot more bang for your buck. Do you guys agree?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yep.
How
all the guys that are practicing out here.
Okay.
Can you hear us, Rodney?
Yeah, I can hear now.
These guys are out here locally that are playing the NXL. They're going out dumping a case of paint or a couple cases of paint, and they're out of there by noon, or sooner.
It's because they can.
They go through the motions, dump the paint, and gone. Peace out.
Think about the cost of them just getting there.
Oh, yeah.
Practicing for 2 weeks when the layout comes out. My God.
Yeah.
This is why the classic format is so much better, because you don't just dump the paint. You have to pick your shots. Occasionally you shoot a random amount of paint, but like you say, you can't shoot 13 balls a second on the run.
Yes.
With classic, it's completely different.
And since we've had and since we've had about an hour and so head start on Rodney, we would all like to hear your opinion, because I know that you've played some of the classic events here. You've played with other teams as well. So why don't you tell us how you perceive the current classic flavor?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that the reason why we played in the woods was because whether you played in California, whether you played in Dallas, whether you played in Florida, whether you played in the Northeast, it was all different. When I got the opportunity to go to England, it was phenomenal. When I got the opportunity to go to Toulouse, it was phenomenal playing in the woods.
Yeah.
Now you just take that same airball field, and whether it's in the Middle East, in Asia, in Europe, wherever it is, it's the same field, guys, and it sucks. I mean, I used to love going to Boston and the little rolling hills and crawling up on people and something different. You know, we don't have that in this game anymore. It's just the same field, and whether it's in Marcus's town, Kevin's town, Dirk's, where we live, it's the same field. But the unfortunate thing is I think the kids today, you know, I talked to like Glenn Forrester, who owns a couple of paintball fields, and you know, like you're saying, Dirk, the kids nowadays, I think a lot of it has to do with the video games that they play nowadays too. My son, 10 years old, what map are we playing on? What map are we playing on? You know, it's like we never used those words. We never used those words, and the game literally. 2.5 hours, the guy that plays walk on field plays for 2.5 hours and leaves the field, and he thinks he's had a good day. For me, that's crazy. I was there at 8 o'clock in the morning till the sun went down, playing
all day,
as much as
all day long.
Yeah.
You know, and a case of paint wasn't anything that I shot. You know, I mean, Jesus, I went back to playing with tubes and 12 grams. You know, and those were fun days, running up through the hills and the scrub brush and, you know, running through the gullies and getting wet and stuff. Nowadays, kids don't play that anymore. You know, a couple hours, they're out of there. Peace out.
Yep.
It's so different, and I hope that this resurgence takes these kids that have, and I call them kids. Sure, they're 20-year-old guys right now, and just, you know, hopefully they get that opportunity to go out and actually play in the woods that all these fields have. But they go straight to the airball field because they want to go battle.
But that's got to be the difference. We can't say that it's better than what it is that they do, but it's an opportunity or something that's available to them. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That we're no different than them if we're poo-pooing everything that they do. So I just think that it needs to be basically a venue for every style or everybody out there. You know, we just can't push away. You know, you can't push away the mech guys. You can't push away the stock class guys. You can't push away the classic guys. You know, there needs to be a venue for every one of those. You know, whatever it is that you desire to play, that's how you grow the sport. I mean, ideally, you grow the sport by having something for everybody, and that's the goal of this, right? That's the goal. That's the goal of the Upstate New York, the World Cup tournament. That's the goal of the ICC. That's the goal of the ICPL. You know, there's going to be different ways of getting there, but it's cool. Great to see.
Absolutely. I think we all agree that it's, you know, a format that we just want to see grow and continually grow. It's just exactly where and how is unknown, but we have the right people directing it, like Kevin and Tim, and it allows people to do what they want to do.
Do you know what? The thing of it is, like you guys turned around and said, right, when the latest NXL layout comes out, some of these these teams that can afford it, they can duplicate that format. They can practice that format over and over and over again until the moves become secondary. They don't have to think about it. They know where a guy's going to go to. They can already anticipate the next move before the other guy's even done it, right? And you can also do the same thing up until a degree with hyperball. when you play in the woods, each woods is unique to that area. You cannot pick a woodsball field up and transport it from one side of America to the other.
No, you got a day to figure it out, man.
The only advantage is that some of the home team fields, the teams that actually play in those fields might have a slight advantage over some of the other teams, a slight advantage. But that, for me, as I said, Woodsball is the biggest leveler of paintball skill anywhere in the world, because for me, how many of these players would be that good if they couldn't practice those moves over and over and over again and had to play instinctive paintball where they have to rely on their skill as a player to adapt as they play? That's the difference.
Well, I just have to say, I don't think any of you guys would fly across the country or across the Atlantic Ocean to play the Master Blasters at Survival New York.
No,
you know, and that's why we never play at home. Never.
But that's fair though, Kev.
And that's our choice. That's not a rule, you know. That's my choice, because I hate going to play Aftershock at Badlands. Yeah. You know, I hated to go play GBD at SC Village.
Yeah.
You know, I did it. I didn't like to go play you at Mayhem, you know, but we did it. But it was one of those, you know, what I said, if you want to run a good tournament, everybody says to me, Kevin, if I wanted to run a decent tournament, what would you do? And I say, you want to run a decent tournament? Take every event you've ever gone to, write down all the shit you hated about it, and don't do it.
Yeah.
And that's how you run a good tournament.
Yeah.
So for that reason, you guys never have a worry about playing Master Blasters at their home field.
Well, that's why the MPPL had, you know, you got basically points for putting your tournament on. You know what I'm saying? That eliminated that issue.
Yeah, but then even then you had nonsense. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that.
No, but what I'm saying is, though, it's the fairest leveler of skill. When you play Woodsball, right, it's all the other types of paintball all put together. And it's more of a true reflection of how good a player is, because you can't practice those moves because you haven't played them.
Oh no!
You have to react and play as you see the game unfold. And like Kevin said, the only chance you get to look at these Woodsball fields is the day before the event when you go and walk them. You have to formulate a plan in your head on the go.
Yep.
That's why a lot of these other guys don't like playing Woodsball, because they're out of their comfort zone. I don't know. Right? That's my take on it.
I would agree with that.
I just think I agree with Marcus, but I also think that Woodsball was laughed at for a long time. You know, it became the newbie game, and a lot of these young guys don't realize what we really did. You know, the scenario world is what they, you know, a lot of the young kids, like Rodney's young, but Rodney grew up with us, you know. But a lot of these guys that grew up in areas where there are no woods, for example, like if you have a field in Las Vegas, they can't play Woodsball. You know, we were the laughing stocks. That's what pissed me off in 2005 or whatever, when I was reading like, oh, Woodsball is for pussies. They don't play,
that conversation, Kevin. I remember.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I was like, you guys obviously have no idea what the hell we really do.
Fuck it off. Can you imagine some of those guys turning up and calling us pussies?
I do. They did it to me when I first put the blasters together and we were going to UWLs and shit. Bunch of old fucking guys. We really, you know, and people would laugh at us at the chrono going, oh, we're going to beat the shit out of these old dudes. And I'd be like, what happened? I don't know. I got a shitload of trophies. You know,
right. Exactly.
you've had a little success, just a little.
A little. Yeah. But I could remember going to a field to play what they did, like a little Woodsball kind of thing, a 7-man at a local airball field in New Jersey, and we were playing in the Woodsball thing, and all the teams were practicing for the World Cup or whatever at the same time on another part of the field, laughing at us. Like, look at these guys and their camouflage, and look at these laughing and laughing and laughing. You say, all right, you guys want to play a little paintball? Took our guys, went out and played airball with them, and gave them some good games, and they were like, holy shit. And, I'm saying to them, and then somebody said to them, I forget who it was, like, you have any idea who these guys were? These are the guys that are playing there you're laughing at are the motherfucking reason you have numbers and names on your jerseys.
You are what you are, not what you were, what you are.
Yeah, they have no idea who any of us were. We're a bunch of fucking clowns to them. It's funny. It's funny. Rodney, you know what it was like with the UWL, right?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you always played on dominant teams.
I don't know. I just, it was always being, just part of a group. And I mean, to me, again, the whole thing about paintball and growing up, it was always being part of an organization, and it took a lot more to put a 10-man team together. To win at a 10-man team is so much harder than even 7-man and 5-man.
Yeah.
I mean, to get everybody together, to get everybody to the event. Yeah. And then again, the biggest thing going back to, I don't even think I mentioned this first, but I would give Dirk and the group of the IronMen, Bobby was really the originator in the US of the way they walked the fields, and then we used to mix it up with GBD and the IronMen, and we'd get to play together. And then, GBD started walking the fields like the way the IronMen, we'd be there for hours and hours and hours all day long. And I think, Dirk, you guys even flew into didn't they fly into Jerry's place a day earlier than even anybody else? And you guys would go out and lay on the field or stuff like that. That was the start.
There were tournaments that we go the weekend before.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first.
We'd line up a team and go out there the weekend before, 2 weeks before, and practice, and then go home, and then turn around and come back and play the tournament. Oh yeah.
Yep. That was the first big budget teams, but it was then switching out of that and going through the All Americans and everything, and then going to Dynasty and being with Dynasty and us just spending hours and hours and hours on the field, and people would look at us like, you guys are just nuts. And we'd be there from sun up till sundown, and then it changed the way, it's like we took that level of stuff from the woods and brought it out into the airball and the hyperball and everything, and people just didn't understand what we were doing to teams, and it was because we knew the fields better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Sound familiar, Sean?
Yeah, very.
Sean's been waiting to get in on this whole time, so Sean, take it. Now's your soapbox.
No, I'm just going by what Rodney was saying about the practice. When we turn up to a tournament on a Saturday, the whole day we spend walking the fields. These young boys don't realise this. We are where we are because of what we put into it. When they say, "Oh, it's the Preds, they've won a tournament again," they don't see the preparation that we have to go through. Walking that field, seeing where we're going, where we're moving to, and things like that. It's just this dedication.
Right.
And I respect that. I mean, some of the boys, they will spend an hour there and go, I'm bored with this, I want to go. And hopefully, on the Sunday when they play, they go, well, why didn't we win? Why didn't you win? I can tell you why you didn't win.
It's all the arguing and everything.
You, Rodney.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's all the arguing. I mean, people just the last ICC that we won with Dynasty. I showed up on Thursday morning. My flight got in at 5 a.m. I drove straight to the field, and I started drawing all the fields. I literally drawed all the fields for the ICC event on Thursday morning, knowing that when Dynasty showed up on Friday, it would help us walk the fields. And we were still there in the pouring rain and everything all day long on Friday walking the fields, but at least we had something to start with. And people are so used to getting the layouts from the organization now. Oh, great. Look, I got this. I'm going to draw this and draw that and everything. It's like, that isn't how it started, guys. It started with grab your graph paper, grab a clipboard, and start drawing. And it was hilarious at the last ICC. I mean, on the hyperball field, we probably had every bunker named, and I couldn't even remember them all half the time. I'd have to go back to the drawing board and check out what do we call this and what do we call that. And guys like Ryan Greenspan and Yosh and Alex, I mean, they can remember like 50 bunkers on a field. It's crazy how many they name, and we name them all, and we keep going back to like trying to remember them all. And I'm just like, oh my God, I can't remember this, but that's how that's how we did it. And it's the legwork that you do, but then in the end, it's the fun that you have, at the end of the winning with 10 guys. It's so much more than 5-man or 7-man.
Yeah. Definitely.
What you're saying,
when we came to the States when we came to the States the first time, I mean, we thought we was a pretty decent team then when we first came over, and realised what paintball was all about, and us boys sort of, when we watched you play, the likes of the IronMen, All America, Aftershock, all them big boys, we wanted to be part of that. This is why we look forward now, us old guys, to come over there and play in Kevin's tournaments. Because, I mean, you think, Bart, like Bart Farmer in the team, he's 59 years old, and he's kicking 20-year-old asses. Mucus is 56. I'm 50. I'm the youngest. Out of the old guys. It's incredible what we do. But again, this is the passion we put in.
This is the beauty with Woodsball. We can still go out and play and be effective. And we can still play a game, and we can still win games against. This is what I'm saying to you. Woodsball is the biggest leveler of skill, right? Physical attributes, let's say. You can have some really, really fit guys, like a lot of the airball guys are. Does that mean anything in the woods? No, it doesn't.
No.
Right? This is what wins your games. For me, Woodsball has always been a game of chess that you play with your players. You play an aggressive game of chess with your players, outmanoeuvring the other team, and you move as you see the game unfolding, right? And it's not pre-rehearsed. You can't practice it. You have to adapt as you see something happening, as the game unfolds, right? Most of the games that we've played against the top American teams, if we was to play the same team from the same end, 3 games, the actual way the players are eliminated and who shot first would change every single game. You don't get that in other formats. And this is what I'm saying. It's like people don't understand the amount of preparation that goes into playing Woodsball at a high level. Not so much for fun when the lower teams, but they just don't understand. They're like that. When we first ever come over to America years ago, and I first met Bob Long, I used to think that the way we used to walk the fields was a lot, right? And then when I watched what Bob Long done, I thought, Jesus Christ, these guys, they're on the fields all day. And we adopted the same sort of philosophy. And every field, we knew every bunker, every tree, as much as we possibly could. And it taught us a lot. You know what I mean? So as I said, like you guys said, it's all about preparation, Rodney. Like you said, the more you prepare, it's like a professional boxer. If you go into a world title fight and you haven't, like Ruiz did recently against Joshua, right? He was capable of beating Joshua, but he didn't do the preparation. Mm-hmm. So he lost. Not because technically he's not good enough. It's for the simple fact he hasn't done the training. And it's exactly the same thing when you play Woodsball.
I think we could all agree on that for sure. Dirk might be having some issues, technical or whatever, but he could come in. Somebody else could come in as well. Kevin, let's go in this direction. Let's proceed like the World Cup is going to happen. Please give us the details and how people can research and get in touch with you, please.
Well, they can find me on Facebook. That's the easiest thing to do. But we also have an event page, Woodsball World Cup 2020, that people can go to. it's been relatively inactive for the last couple of weeks for obvious reasons, you know, but we are intending to move. We're still moving forward. We're not canceling that event unless the federal government or the state makes us. So, you know, unfortunately for some of you, you might not be there, but, you know, we'll run it as a local event if we have to, you know. I mean, I'm going to run it regardless. I talked to Jerry about it because even if I can get local teams interested to come out and join the movement by playing my event, that's what I'm going to do.
Well, this is going to absolutely
start.
Yep, it's going to get it attention, and we're all a captive audience. I mean, most people are at home, and that's why I started doing this. So, you know, that's a good thing. And is there anything that Dirk that you want to share with the people about what's going on with the Ironmen and the plans this season?
No, we just on doing the ICPL, and we'll continue doing that. And we're going to definitely promote the Upstate New York Cup. We've still got our airline tickets. We've still got for sure one team going. The second team hasn't bought yet, but that's our plan. You know, if God wills it, the tournament goes off and they're allowed us to travel, we're going to be there. But
and Rodney,
tell your guys to buy the tickets.
Yeah. Hey, Dirk, what did you guys pay for your tickets?
I already have tickets, and we're going to promote. We're going to promote, you know, primarily in the woods, and that's what we're here to do. I got a 30-man roster, and we've got lots of guys coming out and playing on a regular basis. You know, we're taking a little sabbatical right now just because of what's going on, but we're marching forward, man. We're having a good time. Our kids are doing it. It's nothing but positive.
Hey, Dirk, can you hear Rodney? Rodney was going to ask you a question.
Hey, Dirk, what I was going to ask you, Dirk, is do you know what you guys paid for your tickets? Because right now tickets are crazy low, getting up into like
having a hard time hearing.
He was wondering what you paid for your ticket because they're crazy inexpensive now.
What's that now? So repeat that because I lost you there for a minute.
Oh, price of tickets. He was wondering how much you paid for.
Originally, they were about $380. But they're below $200 now.
Yeah, it's a good thing to be looking at tickets right now for anybody that's thinking about going to this event, because tickets and Kevin, I was going to ask you, the local airport for up there is Stewart, right?
Stewart and Newburgh the hotels are like almost right across the street. You're 10 minutes from the field.
I mean, when I would last look at tickets were like under $300 from San Diego to Stewart, which was pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, we're
Stewart is your best. Let me interrupt you. Stewart is your best bet too, because that's upstate New York. So if any airport's going to open up, it's going to be Stewart. It'll open up long before JFK, LaGuardia, or Newark.
Yeah, no, I was shocked because every year I've looked to go to the event and wanted to fly into Stewart because how close it was. Tickets were $600, $700, $800, $1,000, and it's ridiculous how low they are now.
Yeah, we bought ours. We bought ours before all this happened for the first team, and it was, like I said, $380, $400. But we're flying into New Jersey, and now it's like, you know, you can get tickets for $150, $160 or something. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous.
Marcus, do you have anything that you want to promote or fill in for your fans of what's going on this season for you guys?
Well, obviously, my biggest thing this year was to come over to play in the Woodsball World Cup. And if the travel restrictions are lifted, we will come. But obviously, our trouble is obviously we're coming from England and we've got players that live in Europe. So it's not as easy for us to come as what it is for you guys to travel across America. But my main thing that I'm trying to do now is in the UK, 90% of all Woodsball that's being played now is classic. There's only one event that's still persevering with 10.5 ramping guns, which is the Woodland Masters, but that hopefully will be stopping soon. my biggest priority now is to get all the European teams in the likes of France, Germany, Belgium, Italy, obviously when the virus starts to recede, to get them to start playing Woodsball. So what would be a good idea is obviously social media at the moment. Years ago, we couldn't promote paintball as much as what we all wanted to, because these formats and this sort of we didn't have the sort of the actual base of social media that we got now. And what, Kevin, if you can do for us, if you can start sending me over some artwork and some stuff that we can all start sharing, and maybe trying to spread this bit of love around the world again, you know, because at the moment now in Woodsball we've got a captive audience. There's a lot of really, really bored paintball players, regardless what format they play. Now would be a really, really good time to get Woodsball out there. If a million paintball, if a million people across America, England, and Europe looked at a podcast that we've done and got Kevin's event and some other all Woodsball events out there, even if we got 1% of a million people to come and play Woodsball again, I think we'd be doing a good job. Now's a good time now to try and push Woodsball, because as I said, you've got a lot of people sitting home indoors that are bored shitless, they've got nothing else to watch. And now'd be a good time to try and hook a few of these guys to come and play Woodsball.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Sean, I think. That's what my thought is.
Sean, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, just adding to what Mucus was saying with Kevin's tournament, you know, we have players in Europe. So we got a player in Paris, Holland, Belgium. So, I mean, to promote your tournament, it's not just in the UK. We can do it from Europe as well. That's the good thing about our team. You know, when with our sponsors, we promote it, not just in the UK.
No, we appreciate your help, guys. I'll get you whatever I can get you. And I'm just hoping I can have this event.
Rodney, did you end up answering the question of what you might be doing this season with whomever you decide to play with this season?
Well, I'll play with myself.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm better at it.
That's it. No, I you know, it's interesting. After playing for almost 35 years in this sport, and you know, my business doing quite well even in this downtime. I'm one of the weird people that right now my business is having one of its best years ever. It's kind of I'm blessed, I have to say that. You know, I'm just playing as much as I possibly can. I'm playing with Dynasty at the ICC. I've been playing with KAPP. In the ICPLs. This weekend I was supposed to be in Florida with the All-Americans.
At Rico's event, was that this weekend?
At Rico's event. I was telling everybody to be quiet. Shh, don't say anything. Let's still go and play. But they ended up canceling it. And then of course the flights went bonkers too. They all canceled and everything. But I'm just trying to get out of the house and play. You know, that's the thing. I want to play. I still try to play at least one day every weekend. But now with kids at 10 and 14 playing so many different sports, it's like I don't get that every weekend. But I was Kevin's or Jerry's event, whatever we're calling this. Kevin, it's your event, right?
Well, it's Jerry and I together, really. It's the Blasters and Jerry.
The Blasters event. So
you're right.
I was planning on going back to play that with the All-Americans. So yeah, and I have my ticket reserved. I'm just waiting to buy it. You know, but again, too, with airlines now basically refunding everything, I've been booking tickets for vacations in the summer and all sorts of different things. My wife's very happy about that.
Now, here's where it goes for me, is that I want all of you to know that we can do this again with a different cast of characters. Because I know, Rodney, we were talking about getting Glenn on here, which is great. And I said, why don't you just test it out, you know, test out your system. And guys that I've been talking to in the meantime about, you know, me having a conversation with all of you guys, I know that people are going to want to sound off, and I want to welcome you and just send me a private message, because people are responding to how this is a great distraction at this time. So I appreciate everybody's time, really.
Oh. All right, guys, I'm gonna sign off because it's getting quite late over here, and I'm gonna go and spend a bit of time with my wife upstairs before she kicks me. Right.
Thank you for everything, Marcus. Thank you.
No problem. We was on a podcast for quite a lot of hours last night. And
yes,
we'll do it again 2 nights in the trot.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I think I don't want to piss her off too much because I can't get away from her at the moment.
Hey, it's good to see you, Marcus. It's good to see you again, man.
All right, boys.
Yeah.
Thank you
Sean,
very much.
Guys,
much love, buddy.
Brad,
all of you guys too, man. All of you guys. Hope I'll see you all soon.
Yeah, God bless all.
Love you all. Be safe.
Please all stay safe.
You too.
Yeah?
You guys too.
See you later.
Thank you, guys.
From the zombies.
All right.
Yeah, no zombies. No zombies.
No zombies.
No zombies.
Shut up, guys.
Love you all. Be safe.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you. Thank you, Rodney and Kevin.
Thanks, brother.
Absolutely. Anytime. Anytime.
Rodney, great to see you, dude.
Always good, Devin. Always good.
I know, Rod. I know, brother. Brad, thank you.
A lot of
Absolutely. Let's do this again. I've got nothing but time.
All right, brother.
Thank
We'll
you.
be in touch.
That's it. We all got that.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. That was great. Fantastic. Can't say anything better. I appreciate everybody for their time. We're going to see who else we can get on after this. So for the people out there who are enjoying this, please feel free to drop a message or pass it on to friends that you think would find the information and the content fun and enjoyable. It's a interesting time that we're living in now. But we all want to get out and play. And I suggest you look into Kevin's Woodsball World Cup in New York. And if you can make it. Listen to this. And if you've gone this whole way, listen this far, I'm sure you're pretty excited about the whole opportunity. So with that, I thank you, and I'm signing off.